I'm Mrs. O'Reilly. I live here at this lovely new house, number 29, with the Beattie family. I believe you want a grand tour, and it's perfect timing as the family and the servants aren't here at the moment. So we're actually here in the scullery. This is our water pump. We get water delivered every day to a tank outside. This is our dolly. I believe we have something called a washing machine these days. I can't actually even imagine of such a thing, but this is how we wash clothes. We put them in a barrel with water and plunge and turn with this. Good lot of elbow grease involved. This is our wine cellar. The late Mr. Beattie was a wine merchant, so as you can imagine, we have a fine collection of wine, all under lock and key to keep it away from the servants. And into the hallway now, I'll show you. We have these lovely bells on the walls, and the bell pulls for these are upstairs in the various rooms. We have a little boy who sits here. Now, he can't read or write, so all of the bells have a different sound. I'll give you so he'll be able to tell us which rooms upstairs our services are required in. And this is a carriage heater for Mrs. Beattie's feet. We put hot embers in that just to keep her feet warm in the carriage. And these are the bed pans. We put hot embers inside those as well, rub them up and down the sheets, but woe betide any of the servants scorch the sheets. Their wages would be docked, I'll tell you. And now we're in the kitchen, the heart of the home, or the engine room as I like to call it. This is where it all happens. This is the range, the most important piece in this kitchen. Lit first thing in the morning by the servants to get it going, because this is where we boil the water and cook all the food in the house. And this is our bread hastener, which we wheel in front of the range. The heat helps proof the bread and also heats plates. And these bars on the windows are to keep the blackguards out. And this is our spice box, which I have to keep a lock on the lid of it because they're very expensive, as you can imagine. And this is our pestle and mortar. So we use this a lot in the house to grind down the blocks of sugar and salt that come in, but we also use it to make cosmetics and remedies for ailments and the like. And this is our water purifier. It has a charcoal filter in it. Now, I don't really think it purifies it. I think it just makes it taste better. So we tend to stick to ale to drink because it's just that bit safer. So come on into the pantry and I'll show you. This is where we keep all the basic day-to-day foodstuffs. I weigh everything and keep a list of it all. And up here is our rat shelf. Now, obviously, we believe that rats can't jump, so I put anything up there that I think those nuisance rats might be interested in to keep it safe. And this is our hip bath. We take this upstairs for the family to bathe maybe 3 or so times a year. We don't tend to bath very often because it opens your pores, leaves you open to all sorts of infection, and we've had enough sickness in this house over the past year. So now I'll take you next door to my own private quarters. And this is my sanctuary at the end of a long, hard day. This is my bed given to me by upstairs, and my Windsor chair, and my little canary who sings to me at the end of the day. I'd be doing a few jobs, maybe doing some accounting or some ironing. And this is a gophering iron. I use this on the intricate ruffles and frills on Mrs. Beattie's dresses. And obviously, because I'm responsible for the whole household, I use a lot of keys. So excuse my personal things here now. So I have to carry these around with me most of the time. But now I'm going to show you the finer quarters upstairs. So this is the front door of the house. So this is where the family and the guests come through. And as you can see, we can't be too careful about security. As I mentioned, that crime is rife. This is our brass rail, which is unique to Dublin. You won't find it anywhere else in the world. We call it a whiskey rail. You're supposed to drape a wet cloak over it, but to be honest with you, I've just seen gentlemen steady themselves after too much whiskey. Now, this is our petticoat table, a very important one for the ladies. An unmarried lady would show quite a bit of petticoat leaving the house. She could be looking for a suitor. So all the ladies check their petticoat when they're leaving the house to make sure they're giving the correct impression. Now I'm going to take you into the dining room where all the extravagant parties happen. Now, Mrs. Beattie does like to entertain. She loves to have large numbers of friends over for dinner, so this is the dining room. There's this new style of cooking called à la française. In the French style, apparently it means. There's this other thing called nesting, where they put 4 or 5 different types of birds inside one another and roast it, so the table is laden, and the servants are flying up and down the stairs. Speaking of servants, not a single piece of this silverware can leave this room. It all gets washed and dried here, as I just can't trust the servants. And this is a cellarette wine cooler. lined with lead, and we get ice from the ice houses on the docks to keep the wine nice and cool. Then after dinner, which can go on for several hours, as you can imagine with the amount of food that we have to produce in the kitchen, the ladies will withdraw upstairs to the withdrawing room, and the gentlemen will sit here drinking port, smoking cigars, and then they'd use the commode. And I keep another couple of chamber pots under the console table there for them to pass around and relieve themselves. But now I'll show you where the ladies are. So after dinner, the ladies might come up here to the front drawing room to walk off their 15 courses of food. This room has the largest windows in the house, which is very good so people can see that Mrs. Beattie is entertaining people of quality. This room has the finest of everything. Would you actually believe that there's a very brisk trade in smuggled wallpaper these days, as it's so heavily taxed? But I can assure you the Beattie's purchase was legitimate. I'm going to show you the back drawing room now. Now the ladies move into the back drawing room. They might have a gossip about the evening, might play a game of whist, similar to your bridge game nowadays. This is an important piece in the room. This is a pole screen, which protects the ladies' complexion from the heat of the fire. A lot of the makeup these days has a wax base and it melts with the heat, so we call it losing face. The ladies might take some tea. Now this is the one key in the household that I am not in possession of. Mrs. Beattie keeps it on her person all the time, as a pound of tea these days is a servant's wages for a year. Sometimes I get some of the used tea leaves to have on my own in my little room downstairs, and it's a real treat of a cold winter's evening. This is Mrs. Beattie's boudoir, her private quarters. You'll notice it's not as ostentatious as the rest of the house because we leave that downstairs where everybody will see it. Only her very close friends would come in here. She dresses in here and I give her her breakfast in here also. She might have some coffee or some sweetened bread. After breakfast, she might write some correspondence in the bureau. This is her makeup table where she'd keep her cosmetics, a lot of which we'd make downstairs. We might use some lead and vinegar and horse manure from the coach house out the back, and a bit of perfume obviously to take away the smell. And then obviously she has her own private commode in here as well, but I'm going to show you the master bedroom now. So you'll see the bed is nice and high. This is to keep out drafts, and these drapes do that as well. Also, you might think that the bed is short. It's actually not. We like to sleep sitting propped up because we believe that lying down is for the dead. Also helps with chest ailments and indigestion after heavy meals. These are the steps to help us climb into bed. And over here is an exercise machine belonging to the late Mr. Beattie. They call it a liver shaker, but it's actually to simulate horse riding to strengthen the gentleman's calves. Their breeches came just below the knee there, so they like to have a nice shapely calf, although I have heard of men padding their socks and they say that women are vain. I'm going to quickly show you the gentleman's dressing room. We have a swan feather shaving brush here, and this is his boot jack to help him put on the boots. I believe you have different shoes for left and right feet these days. We just have the one shoe for either foot, which is much more simple, I would say. Now, this is our travelling chest. However, this came with Mrs. Beattie before she got married when she was Olivia Bell. This was her trousseau. However, every summer we head down to Borrowdale House in County Wexford for the summer season of hunting. So I will pack all of Mrs. Beattie's ball gowns and personal effects into this, and then I'll get 2 strong servants to carry it by the handles here down the stairs to be strapped onto the carriage for the journey. We are in the liveliest floor of the house because this is where the Beattie family are. And this is the governess's room where she'll teach the children. She also sleeps here. Now she'll stay with us, with the family, until the children are schooled. The boys heading off to boarding school at only 7, and the girls going off to get married at 14 or 15. So every day she'll teach them a range of subjects. Needlework is very important, but also French, geography, history. And then she'll take them away off to Merrion Square in the afternoon to get some air. And now I'm going to show you the noisiest room in the house, the nursery. And the children's room, the nursery. These toys are usually strewn all over the floor. Now the boys sleep in these beds here. They all pile in together. And this is the cradle where little baby Olivia sleeps now. But all of the Beattie children slept in this. It's beautiful. I think it's Italian. Now I have to show you the baby walker. I've seen all of the children go from knees to feet with this little thing. And into the playroom, lastly, but not least. This is Lady Mayo's dollhouse that she gave us. This is an important one for the girls as it teaches them how to keep house for when they get married. And this is the dart and scroll. The governess would use this for the smaller children. She'd wind the handle and there'd be a different lesson each day. So at the end of a long day of lessons and play, the children head off to bed and sleep soundly, as we do ourselves downstairs. And then we get up tomorrow morning and we do it all over again. Thank you, and I really hope that you've enjoyed your tour of number 29.